Let's go, meat. You see the text, you hear the sizzle, another absolute meat lock. Andre Arlovsky taking on Rogerio Deligma, and Deligma is a decent favorite in this one, right? Minus 185. I've seen it even larger, and Arlovsky's around a plus 190 dog, but similar to how we scoped that out with Jacob Malkoon, it's another absolute legendary underdog meat lock, and we're rolling with Andre the Pitbull Arlovsky. I mean, this dude is an absolute decision machine. All he does is win decisions, and most recently, yes, he did pick up the decision on paper victory over Jake Collier. Most objective viewers thought that Jake Collier, the prototype, should have got that victory, but besides that fight, all the other decision victories that Arlovsky's been picking up throughout these last few years have been warranted. I mean, there was that close one against your boy Carlos Felipe, but other than that, he's going out there and he's outclassing these guys who, if you don't finish him in the first 3, 4, 5 minutes, you're going to lose that decision. And if we're looking at Pazao, a.k.a. Marcos Rogerio Deligma, this is a guy who will come out swinging absolute meat bombs. Like, he throws caution to the wind, Jairzinho Biggie Boy Rosenstrike style, and is just swinging absolute meat bombs or trying to take guys down and utilize his top game and submissions that he does definitely possess. But in this one, Arlovsky's going to survive this first round and then make this easy work going forward, right? Like, how do you see this meat lock playing out? Why are we bullish on this being the 63rd? And how does the win streak continue with another underdog meat lock in the Pitbull?
Yeah, this is an absolute lock, and honestly, you guys, once Pitbull gets this done, I think he's gonna get done decision or KO third round. But I mean, this guy's 43, absolute legend, and he's going on a 4-fight win streak, about to be 5-fight. When he gets this done, he has to be back in the talks of GOAT of the heavyweight because it's unreal what he's doing. It doesn't even make sense. But I like this matchup a lot because Marcos is a one-pump chump. He gasses out. So as long as Andre survives the first round, it's a lock. That's how I kind of see it. And I think Andre is way better all around. He's the better IQ fighter. Obviously way more experienced, and Marcos isn't a young buck either. You know, he's 37. He's shorter reach also, and it's not like Andre is fighting some 28-year-old peaking, absolute savage up and comer. He's fighting Marcos, 37, Sao Paulo, Brazil. So this is nothing but a lock. And if you think about, Andre beating Felipe popped for steroids the next day. Andre Arlovsky beat a young kid on steroids. I mean, if that's not enough to tell you that this is a juicy meat value underdog play, I don't know what else is.
Yeah, with you all the way, and using the Pitbull as a dog to just extend that win streak, right? Aljamain Sterling made easy work last week. Jacob Malkoon as the first ever dog before that, and this one seems to continue that trend for sure. And I mean, if we look at Rogerio, I mean, this is a guy who, yes, he did most recently finish Ben Rothwell and actually literally sent Ben Rothwell to BKFC. He did pick up a decision win before that against Maurice Green, the Crochet Boss. So I guess the point I'm making is if he can't finish the Crochet Boss, how's he going to go out there and finish Andre Arlovsky, who is a guy who just, at this point of his career, unless your name is Tom Aspinall, nobody is finishing Andre Arlovsky. So the fact that he's going to survive this first round and then just do what he does beyond that, right? Land a lot of leg kicks, be very evasive on the feet. I gotta believe he's going to be almost toying with a very tired Rogerio de Lima in the second and third round, and that's where he will capitalize, right? So maybe he does get that late finish like you touched on, or it's just, again, another patented decision win for Arlovsky. Either way, it's a win for the Pitbull, and this is one of those interesting ones, meet where he's plus 190 in Vegas, like a lot of love coming in for Rogerio de Lima, but Tapology, pretty bullish on the Pitbull, right? 68%, majority beige. Only 32% is rolling with that Rogerio, and most of it is brown for the KO. Were you at all surprised by Tapology, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, pretty surprised because, I mean, when have you guys seen Arlovsky get KO'd in the last X amount of years? So very interesting that everyone thinks that Rogerio is going to win by KO. So that just proves kind of our point that this guy has no chance past the first round, which we already know Andre's going to survive it. So this is really an underdog lock of the night, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's underdog lock. It's the meat lock nonetheless, and we'll be throwing down $80. Going to net an easy 152. The second, again, underdog meat lock. Third in a row, 63rd overall, and should be a juicy dog from the Pitbull nonetheless. So, any last thoughts on this meat lock?
No, great fight, great matchup. Throw in the comments who you got. Are we off? Are we on? You riding the meat or you off the bench?
Very curious to get your thoughts on this one, meat. We got Chase Hooper 11-2-1 as a pretty decent minus 260 favorite in this one against Steve Garcia, who at 12-5 is a plus 220 dog in this one. Getting no love from Vegas, getting no love from Tapology, and I guess it makes sense. I mean, he did get smoked most recently against Mahesh Shate, and that was over in Singapore at UFC 275, and he picked up a win against Charlie Ontiveros before that. Can't attach too much credit with that one, and then lost to Violent Bob Ross before that. So you don't really know what you're getting with Steve Garcia. Couple bad losses, not a great victory, and he's taking on Chase Hooper, who obviously is getting a big promotional push from the UFC. I mean, this is Ben Askren's child, and his career has been kind of up and down, but he's only 23 years old, so you got to believe that there is plenty more to the story of Chase Hooper, but he's alternated wins and losses, right? Most recently got a nice win over Felipe Colares, who I'm definitely a fan of Colares, so that was an impressive victory for Hooper in my eye, and he lost to Steven the Ocho Peterson before that, beat Peter Barrett, and also lost to Alex Caceres, aka Bruce Leroy. So I don't really know where Chase Hooper is at. Very curious to get your thoughts. Like, is Chase Hooper here to stay in the UFC and is someone who's going to beat a lot of guys, or is Steve Garcia a guy who is just better than Chase Hooper?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be rooting for Chase Hooper. Definitely a fan. Got to ride the bandwagon. He always puts on a show. I'll give him that. But his skills for MMA is very questionable. His grappling is pretty good, but like for the MMA wise, I mean, a lot of guys have been able to stop it, and they're not the best grapplers. You know what I mean? So it's hard to tell if like Chase is just like he's young, so he's developing and he's getting better and better, and he is going to be a superstar and a champion one day, or is he just like not going to go to BKFC, but more like one FC and enter just the grappling, since like he just can't hang with the punches. So that's where it's going to be very interesting to see, because this should be a lock for him. It really should, but his skills are questionable, so I'm kind of on the fence. I'll probably fade this one. Maybe throw a dink on the sub, which is probably negative odds also, because he's only going to win by sub most likely. So it'll be very interesting to see. But yeah, I'm going to ride with Chase submission third round.
Yeah, I buy that, and I'm guessing it'll be something around like minus 110, minus 120, like probably the same odds you were getting for Alonzo Menafield to win by KO is probably what you'll be getting for Chase Hooper to win by sub. And that might not be the worst play, right? Because it's tough to imagine him winning elsewhere. Like, it's tough to see him getting a KO TKO. Maybe he can win a gritty decision. I mean, perhaps Steve Garcia can make it competitive at moments and at least survive when these dangerous moments present themselves on the ground. And if so, maybe Hooper wins a decision. So perhaps there could be a juicy sprinkle there as well. But as mentioned, 91% is rolling with Chase Hooper, majority copper for that sub. Only 9 is rolling with Steve Garcia, and barely any of it is for that brown, the rest for a beige decision. I think this could be a close competitive fight, but I'm pretty torn. What's the best pitch, Mead? If you're rolling with Chase Hooper, the dream, how does he get this one done? Because, I don't know, Mean Machine Steve Garcia, the guy does come to bang. Any chance he finishes Chase Hooper?
It wouldn't surprise me if he does, because I don't know. Chase Hooper is just very questionable all around. But I don't know. Chase should get this done. On paper, he should get this done. I mean, think about it. How much promoting have they put into Steve Garcia? Zero. How much have they put into Chase Hooper? Do you think Uncle Dane and the UFC want to lose on their investment? No. Chase should win by a landslide.
Yeah, see, I buy that. Like, I want to believe that the promotion is well behind Chase Hooper, the dream, but I think that I don't know. I mean, I think a Mean Machine is coming through to turn this dream into a nightmare. That's what I think. I think the Mean Machine is going to take out Chase Hooper. I don't know. I'm not buying the hype that Chase Hooper's selling or that the UFC is selling of Chase Hooper, and I actually think that He's going to lose this fight to the Mean Machine. He's going to go somewhere else. Maybe it's ONE FC. Who knows where? But allow Chase Hooper to go develop outside of the UFC. Be the next Brandon Moreno, right? Like, Brandon Moreno got cut from the UFC, went and rifled off a bunch of different wins, and look at him now. He becomes a champion, and perhaps he can win that back again someday. I mean, you'd have to let us know about that. But I think that Chase Hooper is going to lose this fight, and he's going to have to figure it out elsewhere, and then we'll welcome him back with open arms. But he ain't ready, and the Mean Machine is coming to take his head off. I'm going Mean Machine by finish. Am I crazy?
No, I don't think you're crazy. But yeah, this is definitely a scrappy fight. You guys throw in the comments who you got. Are you taking the Mean Machine or the Dream?
Honestly, mate, this might be one of my most anticipated fights of this entire evening. This is a great light heavyweight throwdown. Khalil Roundtree Jr. taking on Dustin Jacoby, who is on an absolute tear. I mean, this guy has had nearly 10 fights in the UFC already and hasn't lost. He only has that one split draw to your boy Iwan Kutelaba, and that was almost peak Iwan too, which obviously were the days of yesteryear, but it was a day nonetheless. And apart from that, Jacoby has been smoking absolutely everyone, right? Most recently, he just absolutely smoked Da Un Jung, and that was a fight that netted him a performance of the night bonus. It was the first round. It was easy work, and a fight that a lot of people were very bullish on Da Un Jung. They thought that even though he had to sneak by Smile and Sam, that he was going to go out there and beat Dustin Jacoby, and Jacoby made absolute light work of him, and that was great to see because before that, right, he was turning like he was a decision machine, and where his decisions were impressive, I guess I was just excited to see him get another lethal finish because he does have that finishing capability. I mean, he even finished your boy Darren the Dentist Stewart pretty impressively as well. So this one should be interesting against Khalil Roundtree, who himself is a finisher, right? I mean, 2 straight absolutely beautiful performances for Khalil Roundtree, and both easy work finishes, right? Another performance of the night winner was Khalil Roundtree over Carl Roberson most recently in March, and then before that he landed those gnarly side kicks to the knee. Modestus Bukauskas, his ACL, his PCL, MCL, everything with an L, essentially took an L with that side kick from Roundtree. I mean, some even question whether those strikes should be legal. It was that brutal. So we know Khalil Roundtree is a guy with a very impressive arsenal. He does have some losses, right? He got finished by E1, lost to Marcin Prachnio, which doesn't age well, and then also lost to Johnny Walker, who might be back. So what are your thoughts on this one? Do you see this as pretty evenly matched, or is Dustin Jacoby, like he's been doing, just going to run through Khalil as well?
Yeah, this is a very fun fight. It's a great fight. I think Dustin Jacoby should get this done on paper. He should get this done. I think he's the better fighter. He's the bigger fighter. He's taller, everything. I think he's fought the tougher guys from his past to now. But I just like the odds of Roundtree, and I like the energy he's been bringing. He's been looking really sharp, and I kind of like what I've been seeing out of him. Just slightly more than what I've been seeing out of Dustin Jacoby. So I'm going to take the chances, ride the dog. I like the odds. I like the finish. I agree with Tapology. If Roundtree gets done, it's got to be a finish because I think Jacoby's stand-up is a little too good and he could take this to the decision.
Yeah, I think that you're pretty spot on with that, like if he is to get that one done, but I guess I would just be surprised if Jacoby is gonna go, get slept by Khalil Roundtree, because even though he does have insane power, I mean, obviously Jacoby hasn't been finished in the UFC, he hasn't even lost, but the last time he was finished was over in Bellator. John Salter got the submission on him, and then King Mo also finished him as well, but I don't know. I guess he hasn't had his lights put out in a long time. So if Khalil's able to do that, then very impressive nonetheless for sure. I anticipate this fight just remaining on the feet though, and I think Dustin Jacoby is going to be able to outclass Khalil Roundtree because even though I think Roundtree does have the power advantage, I don't know. I just see Jacoby being a little bit slicker, landing a wider array of strikes, and ultimately just probably getting a decision in this one. Or this could be a non-competitive fight like the one against Da Un Jung, where Jacoby is just on a different level than Khalil Roundtree, and Roundtree doesn't have what it takes. But I don't know. I'm excited to see how this plays out because old school Khalil Roundtree and pretty much the new version that we've seen most recently was an absolute killer, right? Like this guy finished every single person he went up against, and then he ran into Johnny Walker and just sort of got derailed after that. Like, he flirted with retirement, and this was my last fight. I feel like I've heard that for the last 3 Khalil Roundtree fights. So very curious to see what version shows up against Jacoby. But if it's his best version, perhaps he can get it done. I just think the Hanyak is going to ultimately win this one, and I like that it keeps narrowing. Meat. It was around like minus 170 for Roundtree. It's creeping, or excuse me, plus 170 for Roundtree, creeping to plus 135. If we're getting close to pick'em value for Dustin Jacoby, I think that's juicy beef. But that's just me. Any last thoughts?
No, yeah, 100% agree. You throw in the comments, guys, who you got? You taking the Joe Brony or the Warhorse?
Let's get into the meat of it.
You know, Meat, a wise Thermopylae once said to never bet against a Georgian fighter, especially when they are an underdog. And I gotta imagine that Thermopylae is wagging his finger from the grave somewhere, warning us, Meat, do not pick against Roman Deliza. But he's fighting against Phil Hawes, aka Megatron, aka No Hype, I guess is his new nickname.
Yeah.
He's 12-3, and recently looked pretty good, right? I mean, I know it was against Iran Win. He's 5'6", yet fights at middleweight, but he beat the brakes off of him. It was a performance of the night, and it was good to see because before that, he got finished by Chris Curtis, and it was early in the first round. Kind of concerning, especially given how Chris Curtis's latest bouts have been going, but nonetheless, he did rebound, and he's fighting against Deliza, who's also coming off a sweet win. Absolutely shattered the face of Kyle Dawkins with that brutal knee. Took like a minute. He also got the performance of the night bonus, and he only has the one loss to Trevin Giles throughout his UFC tenure. So, what are your thoughts on this one? Deliza coming in at plus 140. Hawes Megatron is minus 165. You rolling Deliza, or you taking Phil Hawes?
Yeah, no, this is such a great matchup, and honestly, I gotta go with the Caucasian. Like Thermopylae said, you can never doubt a Georgia underdog, and so I like these odds plus 140. I think he's absolutely going to smash Phil Hawes. I mean, no hype, kind of agree. The only hype he's getting is BKFC.
Yeah, I mean, how do you think this one plays out, though? Because he might be BKFC bound at some point, but you got to admit he did look good against Iran Win. Do you attach any weight to that victory, or did he just do what he was supposed to do? And now running in against a what seems like a peak Caucasian, it's going to be too much. Like, how do you see this playing out?
Yeah, but honestly, anyone can look good versus Duran Win. I mean, the guy's 5'4", 185. He should really drop to like, honestly, I would say like bantamweight, maybe even featherweight. But no hype. I don't know. I think the Caucasian's be a little too big. I think he's going to get absolutely smashed, and I don't think he has like a better gas tank than Deliza. I think they're both kind of one pump chumps, so it's gonna be very like someone's going to sleep. That's all I know. Someone's going to sleep, but I'm taking Deliza.
Yeah, for sure. And if you look at Tapology, right, 62% is roll with no hype Hawes, 38% Deliza, and there's a lot of brown on both sides, right? So it seems like the community thinks that a KO finish could be most likely. What are your thoughts on the wrestling in this one? Because we have seen Roman Deliza make some advancements as far as his grappling and wrestling game is concerned, but we know Phil Hawes is going in there to take him down and likely keep him down. So how do you see the wrestling factoring into this matchup, if at all? Or do you think Phil Hawes is just going to sleep?
Yeah, I think Phil's going to sleep. I think Roman is either going to sub him, knock him out. Doesn't really matter where the fight goes, but I think Deliza is going to have the upper edge. I think he's just going to be too big, too strong for him, and I think he's just going to decimate him.
Yeah, he might, and God, Thermopylae so many times, told us Meat Boys don't ever pick against a Georgian underdog, but I'm gonna roll with no hype Hawes, perhaps a little bit reluctantly. I think he's gonna have the advantage if this fight hits the mat, and I also kind of like Phil Hawes' jab. I think that it's a little bit underrated, and if he's able to just kind of crack Deliza, rock him early, and then take him down, perhaps he can win some rounds. Maybe the over 2.5 could hit if Hawes wins a decision. So I'm gonna go with Phil Hawes by decision, but he might get absolutely slept by Deliza.
Facts, yeah. He might get slept, but also Deliza might get slept too. Throw in the comments who you got. You got no hype or the Caucasian?
It's the co-meet, and talk about an absolute banger. Like, you know for sure that maybe these two dudes will never be a champ in the UFC, but in a co-meet event slot, Max Payne Griffin and Tim the Dirty Bird Means are going to come and absolutely throw down. Like, neither of these guys will ever shy away from a fist fight, and you know that this thing is going to be just rock'em sock'em robots from start to finish for however long this fight extends. And I love the matchmaking in this contest because two guys who both put together a nice little win streak, right? It was 3 straight for Max Payne Griffin. He absolutely smoked Ramiz Brahimaj. Like, the dude's ear was essentially falling off, and then he one-punch stiffened Song Kanan. We haven't heard from Song Kanan basically since that moment, and also picked up a nice levels test win over Carlos Condit, which, if you can take out Carlos Condit, like, it doesn't matter how old the guy is, like, that's an impressive win against a very talented guy. And after that 3 straight, he ran into Neil Magny, but if we remember, that fight was very close, and I remember because I might have had a couple units on Neil Magny and wasn't feeling uber confident heading into the judge's decision, but nonetheless, Neil was able to escape with a split decision, but it's very possible that you could have given that fight to Max Payne Griffin as well. So it's 3 of 4, and his losses before that was against 2 tough Alexes, right? Oliveira and Morono. So you know Max Payne Griffin at this point is at his career is definitely seeming to like come into his own and recognize his full potential. And it's another great levels test, much like Carlos Condit was in Tim Means, who, just like his opponent Griffin, had rifled off 3 straight. Loreno Staropoli absolutely smoked Mike Perry, and then the easy work unanimous victory over Nicholas Dalby, who is always a tough levels test for sure. And his one loss was to Kevin Holland, right? He got absolutely smoked, got submitted with that beautiful Darce choke in the second round, and it was, I guess, just too much for Tim Means at this point of his career. But is Max Payne Griffin on that same level as Kevin Holland? And if so, is he going to make light work of the Dirty Bird? Or is Max Payne Griffin not ready for the absolute levels test that Tim Means will bring? Who are you taking?
Definitely a levels test, that is for sure. Dirty Bird, he's also got the the height advantage, reach advantage, all that good stuff, but he does not have the age advantage. I kind of see. Honestly, this should be a pick 'em. Surprised that Griffin is almost a 2-1 favorite. But I'm gonna pick Max Griffin. I think he's just I don't know. I think he'll actually get the finish also. I just didn't like the way Tim's last fight went, and with him being this old, I just don't see him getting this done. I think Max will be too strong, too fast, all the above. The only thing I worry about is can Means outlast Max. That's what I don't know. So this is going to be a close fight in my opinion, but I'm going to lean on Max on this one.
Yeah, and Tim Means we know is a very traditionally durable guy. Like, he can extend contests and essentially out-tough a lot of guys in the UFC. And if you look over at Tapology, 74% is rolling with Max Payne. Majority of it is beige. They think that the decision is most likely. 26% is rolling with the Dirty Bird. And I don't know. I mean, you touched on the age a little bit. Means, yes, is 38 years old. But Max Griffin's 36, right? So he's kind of up there as well. I guess it does seem like maybe Griffin is closer to his peak than Tim Means is. But at this point of their careers, I think Tim Means might still have enough to take out Max Griffin. But if you're going to go with Tim Means, or if you're going to go with Max Griffin, do you think he gets a light work finish in this?
I don't know. I think this is going to be a war. This might be a fight of the night. I could see a late 3rd round finish maybe. I don't think it's going to be an early finish for either guy. I think it's going to be a long night for both of them. Decision or KO later in the round.
Yeah, very possible. So worth inspection if you're getting decent juice for the over 1.5, or maybe even super solid plus money at over 2.5, because maybe this thing does go the distance for sure. In this one, I'm going to roll with you, Meat. I think Max Payne Griffin does get this one done. It wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world, in my opinion, if Tim Means gets this done, but I guess Griffin, he does just look like he's kind of turned a corner, and this is a guy who, it seems like the mental game is really coming together now for Max Payne Griffin. Like, it almost seemed like there was some sort of barrier, like Uriah Hall style situation going on previously for Max Payne Griffin, but throughout these last few years, it seems like he's turned a corner, not only like skill set wise, but like mentally as well. So I think he's going to have what it takes to win a gritty fight against an always tough guy like the Dirty Bird. And I actually like him to get a late finish, or again, maybe this thing goes the distance as well. So I definitely like this thing going into the later rounds for sure, and hope that it does, because in a co-meet slot, these guys are definitely delivering, right?
Oh, wait, 100%. I think this is going to be an absolute banger of a fight. I'm super excited. It's not going to surprise me on whoever wins. That's how I kind of see it. But throw in the comments what you guys think. Are you guys taking the Dirty Bird or Mr. Payne?
It's a meat event and one that you and I have definitely been looking forward to for a long time. Meat, I feel like we've been going back and forth about Calvin Kattar and Arnold Allen for the longest time, and I know you and I are definitely split on this one, so I'm excited to break this down. Calvin Kattar, who recently he has been alternating wins and losses. They are all meat events though, right? And they're all fight of the nights as well. Like ever since they stuck Calvin Kattar in that first meat event slot against Dan Ige, where he picked up an easy work unanimous decision, the UFC has been shown to hand the reins to Calvin Kattar multiple times, and he's always delivering, right? Like that fight of the night against Max Holloway, where he endured like one of the most brutal beatdowns we've seen in a long time, but managed to just showcase his never quit mentality and always in there style of fighting and earned himself the fight of the night, and then did the same against Giga Chikadze in a fight where ourselves included, we thought Giga was going to go out there and make easy work of Calvin Kattar, just like Max Holloway did, and it was literally the opposite. I mean, Calvin Kattar looked better than he ever has before, and simply decimated Giga Chikadze, and kind of has rendered Chikadze obsolete. It's crazy how all of the MMA community is like, oh yeah, Giga Chikadze is just not good anymore. But it was that impressive of a performance from Calvin Kattar, and then most recently he lost to Josh Emmett, and that's a fight where it was a split decision. There were some clear rounds for Kattar. There were some clear rounds for Emmett as well. Many people, however, thought that Kattar should have gotten the nod in that one too. So tough to attach too much stock into that one, because although he was on the wrong end of the split, Kattar did look pretty nice in that fight, and it's coming in with a lot of momentum. I think he could still argue, and he's going to need everything he's got if he's taking out Arnold Allen, right? Because this guy was undefeated on a basically double-digit win streak in the UFC. Seems like he's not really ever in that competitive of contests. I mean, there were moments against Sadiq Youssef where he likely lost a round, but other than that, like he's pretty much going through everyone. Most recently, it was against Dan Hooker, and that was a fight, admittedly, where I thought Dan Hooker was going to actually push Arnold Allen and make that one interesting, but it wasn't at all. It was a performance of the night. Easy work, first round finish for Double A. So, what are your thoughts on this one? In fact, I know your thoughts on this one, but tell the Meat Boys why you're going with the fighter that you're going with, and how do you anticipate this meat event playing out, and for how long?
Yeah, this is a great matchup, fun fight. But I gotta go with All Might. I think Arnold Allen is going to get this done and get it done very convincingly, purely off of I think his speed. He's got good power. It probably will match similar to Kattar. I think maybe even stronger. I don't know. Arnold Allen's genetics are insane. His dad is like insane bodybuilder, so he just has freak genetics for muscles and strength and all that. But I think Arnold Allen is going to win unanimous, maybe even get a finish, which nobody finishes Calvin Kattar. That's how, high I am on Arnold Allen. So I'm surprised to see him as the underdog. So I'm right in this. This is easy money in my opinion. But he's 28. He's only getting stronger, only getting faster, only getting better. While Calvin Kattar, he's been taking a lot of punches to the face. He's been in some wars, and those don't make you, I don't really see Calvin Kattar being another anomaly like Max Holloway. It seems that Max Holloway never really ages, even though through all the wars he's been through, he looks better than ever. Other than the last performance with Volk, so maybe this is the last time for Max. But Kattar, I don't know. I don't see how he's gonna win. The only thing I worry about is maybe his size. He's 5'11", so he's way bigger. So somehow he is bigger and somehow he is stronger, which I don't know how you can be stronger than Arnold Allen. The dude's built like a tank. But if he is, I could see a similar like Giga Chikadze fight where maybe he does bully him, maybe even takes him down. But I don't know. I just think Arnold Allen's IQ, speed is going to win him this fight.
Yeah, good stuff, and those are great ways to describe him, right? IQ, speed, and then you also touched on the strength, right? And Arnold Allen is just like an absolute powerhouse of a 45er. Like the dude seems like he's much bigger and much stronger than most of the guys that he's going up against. And although he will be stronger, Kattar does have the size advantage on paper, right? He's taller, he's got a longer reach. And I've been interested to see how the lines have been kind of jumping all over the place in this one, right? At one point, Kattar was the favorite. Now Arnold Allen is a minus 125, and Kattar has a slight, technically the dog at minus 105. So the odds have been kind of all over the place. It seems like the community is pretty torn as to what this fight is going to look like. But Tapology is kind of bullish, right? 61% is roll with Arnold Allen. Majority of it is decision. And of the 39% roll with Kattar, same thing there. A lot of base for the decision. Do you think that this fight does go all 5? I mean, we've seen Kattar go 5 rounds with ease. I mean, this guy doesn't get finished. So to your point, that would be absolutely mind-blowing to me if Arnold Allen is the one to do it against Kattar. But if he can't finish this fight, what do you expect Arnold Allen to look like in the 4th, in the 5th round? Because we know Kattar can go for days. Are you anticipating Allen, even though he's this jacked muscle shark kind of fighter, to still have that same gas tank and longevity in rounds 4 and 5?
Yeah, I think he will have the gas tank. I don't see him ever gassing. We're in a Kattar's game, so it'll be very interesting to see. But he should be ready, and he should be doing just fine. It would surprise me to see if he fades in the 4th and 5th and just breaks and just gasses out. I just don't see it.
Very interesting, and I think you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I mean, like, if he does fade, if he does start to wither in rounds 4 and 5, I think it's going to be bad news, and ultimately, that's what I'm leaning. That's where I'm going in this fight. I think that this fight is going to be very close, those early rounds, very competitive. Maybe Arnold Allen even wins the 1st and 2nd, but much like Calvin Kattar looked like against Zabit, where it was a fight that he was just kind of getting dominated for the first 10 minutes. Once Zabit started to fade, we saw what Calvin Kattar was able to do to him in that 3rd round, and the chatter coming away from that fight was, if it were 5 rounds, Calvin Kattar likely is going to cruise to a decision in that fight. So I don't know. I guess I'm drawing some parallels with how I think this fight is going to go down. I think Arnold Allen impresses early, but ultimately I like the accumulation of strikes that Kattar will be able to land throughout the contest. I mean, this is a guy with just very crisp stand-up, got a very, super nice jab, and can just kind of piss you off and pepper away at you throughout a contest. And I don't know. I like his ability to survive early and then just make this a dominant, almost like Sugar Sean on Peter. And it's crazy to say dominant, but it's totally accurate. Almost like Sugar Sean on Peter Yan in that 3rd round, where he's peppering away, but not just for the 3rd and for the 4th and 5th. Maybe gets a late finish or just gets a unanimous decision. But I got to roll with Calvin Kattar in this one. Am I tripping, or do you think that that could be an outcome you're just going with Arnold?
You know, I don't think you're tripping, and I think that definitely could happen. It would not surprise me. But yeah, curious, what do you guys think? Throw in the comments. Are you taking All Might or the Boston?